Hello guys and welcome again to the channel. On today's video we will be checking out quickly this new plugin that Waves Audio has put out. This is called Equator. This is obviously a combination of equalizer by Wave Factory, which you have here, and more of a Suit 2 combined. So I feel like with this plugin you can actually get your money's worth. But let's quickly unpack what you got here.
Well, I download the mind, unpack the data.
Obviously, you have Learn button if you want to use the AI. You've got your sidechain where you can turn it on. You can also ride it. This is to listen to what the sidechain is listening to. In Logic, this is where you add your sidechain source. So you have this button which obviously controls how much this, affects the signal. I think 10 is the default, and then you have shape here to shape the, the pink noise. Because you've selected pink noise here, you can change it to warm, flat. Pink is the default, so you can shape it. Then obviously this is your delta. This is to tilt if you want it more of the low end or more of the high end. So you have your input there, output, the metering, and you can obviously pull the level. So you have advanced control here, which is where you see a lot more.
That lovely.
As you can see, this is obviously hidden behind the hood. You have your attack there, release, precision. Then you have the tilt frequency, obviously where the tilt is. At the minute is 1K, so you can push where the tilt happens. Usually 1K is, a good start. Then you have the smooth curve here. This is balance, where you select if you want this to be in mid-side or mid-side or stereo. At the minute it's obviously linked. You can split the left and right so they are independent, or you can have it mid-side. So let's keep it linked for now, which is the default. That's all right. Let's have a listen to what this does to this sound. I've obviously just put it on the master bus, which is our mix bus. I'll first listen to what it does, and then we will run this AI and see what we can achieve with it. So let's play this audio.
Yo, I used to think a Porsche make it better. Flicking it and sporting that KN, I'll give it pepper. Another bailiff on the phone, another court letter. Pouring.
So one thing I'll say, obviously the default starts with my 10, I think, but something like this, especially on a mix bus, you want it to be very subtle. That's what I tend to do with this equalizer. When I use it on mix bus, I have it subtle. The same sometimes if I use Suit 2 on the mix bus, I make sure it's about 1% or 2, maximum 3 or 4%. So it's not actually, doing much. So the same thing is what we'll do here. We'll actually pull this in a way that is only affect just a tiny. You hardly see the movement.
Pouring all that water up my nose so I can snort better. With the pressure on the net, it caused a forced error. Ghosted every dickhead on my phone and every raw seller. Freezing cold without no blanket, needed warm weather. A mattress on the floor with just a worn sweater. I'm watching all them ticks turn blue.
As you can see, we've gone all the way up, which is 40, but you still notice where when the kick drops, this moves a tiny bit, and sometimes when the low mid builds up, there's also a little bit of push down there. Obviously you can drag where you want this to be, your crossover points, but I feel like the default is fine. Or we can just keep it here, 8K, 2K, 300 Hz. I will push this to 250. Let's have a listen again.
All them ticks turn blue. I ain't riding, but they silence like the sticks on mute. I needed guidance in my life, I said my days were blue. Another day skin scheming, feeling deja vu. But if you're deep in all them secrets, that's what gets you. That must be the reason all these stellars that I get through. Lonely and depressed you. Trying to stay strategic as I'm breathing, see the chest move.
So when we put it on and off, you obviously notice a little bit of difference, but I feel like, the difference is not overwhelming compared to when we pull this all the way down, like this. Then you notice a lot more different, and it changes the balance of this mix, because I quite like how it is at the moment. And the good thing also is we can actually pull this mix knob down when we have the advanced control.
It was scary stuff, radically advanced.
so that it's not affecting much, like we said at the beginning. So it's almost like you hardly feel it, but it's there doing something. So let's have it at maybe 7%.
See the chest move when you got demons trying to test you, gets you. Psychosis, that's because my ex's brother got a psychosis. I write all this when I don't like no spliffs. And there's a message in my writing, call it hieroglyphs. And still they light on bids.
So I'm actually liking how this is sounding so far with it on. I feel like it sort of smoothens the transient, but not, you know, affecting it in a bad way, if that makes sense.
Light on bids, the heavy burden I carry. And if it's man low, I'm writing songs, call me Barry. The chalk on the board, it weren't a tally. But still my ears burn, feel like Don Trump talking in the rally, man. Is it real life? Real life, real life. Yeah, yeah.
So I quite like this at maybe 5%. Let's try 3%. After this, I'll actually try the AI and see how that, you know, pairs.
Yeah. Something around in my, they don't feel right. Feel right. Yeah. My brother used to tell me you'll be alright, but nothing around me would ever be alright. Yeah. Took me a while for me to realize, but now I realize. Someone tell me, is this real life? Frankie's man's son, I ain't Marilyn.
So you obviously have your limiter here, and you have makeup gain, which is automatic. So you can have that off if you want, even though we've left it on at the minute. And the limiter, I can actually turn it off, you know, but I feel like, you know, let's leave it for the time being, just for the purpose of this test. So let's try this learn button and see what that gets us.
That the computer has artificial intelligence.
Porsche make it better. Flicking it and sporting that KN, I'll give it pepper. Another bailiff on the phone, another court letter. Pouring all that water up my nose so I can snort better.
As you can see where it says to us Equator is calibrated, so we can hit apply. So this is what it got us. Obviously, I feel like this is a little bit extreme, but let's hear what it sounds like.
Snort better. With the pressure on the net, it caused a forced error. Ghosted every dickhead on my phone and every raw seller. Freezing cold without no blanket, needed warm weather. A mattress on the floor with just a worn sweater. I'm watching all that.
I quite like it actually, but let's put this 100% and see what it sounds like.
I'm watching all them ticks turn blue. I ain't riding, but they silence like the sticks on mute. I needed guidance in my life, I said my days weren't blue. Another day skin scheming, feeling deja vu. But if you're deep.
Yeah, I prefer it with less percent, maybe about 4%, 5%, because when it was 100%, I feel like that high end dulled a bit, which is not what I intend for this mix. But when I put it down to about 4%, 3%, you will not feel that brightness come back in, but obviously not sort of sounding harsh. So I feel like with plugins like this, obviously being subtle is the way to go. So, you know, 5%, 4%, 3% at max, you know, at times.
Well, don't overdo it.
But still be sure not to, you know, have it be extreme. But this curve is actually very great for, you know, this mix, with the percentage, obviously, the mix being very low.
If you're deep in all them secrets, that's what gets you. That must be the reason all these stellars that I get through. Lonely and depressed you. Trying to stay strategic as I'm breathing, see the chest move. When you got demons trying to...
Yeah, boy.
So let's just have a listen to the delta and see what this is doing. So as you can see, when we put that in delta, it's not affecting much of the sound. We could barely hear it, but that's what you want. That little moves to just, you know, help you push certain frequencies that are poking out into place, more of a resonance suppressor like you have with Suite 2 or with the equalizer, is the key, and not try to overdo it. This will obviously be great as well for vocals. You know, let's just try that on that lead vocal quickly. Let me just throw it as the last plugin. Let's listen to it in solo.
Flicking it and sporting that KN, I'll give it pepper. Another bailiff on the phone, another court letter. Pouring all that water up my nose so I could snort better. All the pressure on the net, it caused a forced error. Ghosted every dickhead on my phone and every raw seller. Freezing cold without no blanket, needed warm weather. A mattress on the floor with just a worn sweater. I'm watching all them ticks turn blue. I ain't riding, but they silence like the sticks on mute. I needed guidance in my life, I said my days weren't blue. Another day skin scheming, feeling deja vu. But if you're deep in all them secrets, that's what gets you. That must be the reason all these stellars that I get through. Lonely and depressed you. Trying to stay strategic as I'm breathing, see the chest move. When you got demons trying to test you, it gets you. Psychosis, that's because...
So this, as you can see, is obviously helping push certain frequency in. Like I said at the beginning, you don't want to overdo this. Just a tiny, smidges of push downs is all you need and you'll be good to go. Obviously, you can adjust your attack, the release, how much this is, affecting your sound, or how quickly it kicks in on the attack and how quick or how slow it will let go with your attack and release, so that you can fine tune it for your sound. And you have your sensitivity, which you can also obviously play with to get the perfect sound that you want. Or if you want to rely on the, learn, which is more of the AI part, go for it. So the last thing is obviously with the EQ. If you want to push it around yourself to see how, much you want to achieve, you can actually double click and pull it around. You have your bandwidth there, how wide you want it, or how tight you want it. Obviously, this is the frequency. You can move around. And then if you hold onto this blue button, you can actually pull it down or pull it up, where it says the band. But one thing that I was quite hoping was maybe if there was a high pass here, so that if you want to sort of isolate a certain frequency, but I didn't quite see that. So I hope maybe I'm not missing this, but if I am, obviously, as you can see there is no high pass. This is your, low shelf, high shelf, and the bell. So I was hoping at least if there was a high pass. So if you want to sort of, you don't want the effect to affect your low end, you can just high pass it. Or if you don't want the extreme top end to be affected, you can just high pass it. But, there might still be a way to do it, maybe by just pushing this all the way up so that it's not being affected, and then these ones are the ones doing it. But I'll still play around with this plugin a bit more and see. So far, obviously, apart from that, I feel like this plugin is actually very good. Go check it out and let me know what you think about it. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye.